Angel, earth angel, will you be mine? Love you all the time. Ooh, love you all the time. Love you all the time.
So what you guys just witnessed was my first attempt at an intro for these prediction videos. It's kind of a hybrid between a promo for the fight card and an intro, but I kind of like that. I like the concept of introducing the fighters, and since this was my first shot at an intro, I'm interested in y'all's feedback. So if you could help me out in the comment section, tell me what you think about it. I think in the future, I might just introduce the main and co-main to stop it from being like a 1 minute long intro. But we'll figure it out. Even if you guys tell me that you hated it and never want to see it again, I still had fun making it, so no regrets there. But without any further ado, let's get right into these UFC on Fox 28 main card predictions. This is going to be a really good card. There's some really good matchups, and I'm excited. So, like I said, let's get right into these predictions. For the first fight on the main card, we already have guaranteed fireworks here. Platinum Mike Perry versus Max Griffin. Mike has had a couple of UFC knockouts, but he's kind of a one-trick pony. He's only a knockout artist, and the times that his fights have gone to decision, he's lost. He lost to Alan Juban, and he most recently lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio. But this fight, it's kind of easier to see what the matchmakers are trying to do. Mike is good at talking, and he gets sensational knockouts. So since he recently lost, they're trying to build him back up with a guy that he can knock out. I would also consider Max a brawler. And I just think if he gets in a brawl with Mike Perry, he's going to end up getting knocked out. Mike is a one-trick pony, but he's very powerful, and striking with him isn't the best idea, especially if you're not a high-level guy. Max's only UFC victory was against a guy that was 7-4. Mike has already fought and knocked out better competition than Max Griffin. So I just think the matchmakers are trying to put Mike back in the win column with this one. And the way I see this fight playing out is the first round starts out in a brawl, and Mike eventually gets the knockout probably near the end of the round. But I do see Mike Perry knocking out Max Griffin in the first round. Next up, we have Ovince St. Preux versus Ilir Latifi. This fight was already supposed to take place at UFC Charlotte, but Ilir pulled out because of an injury. I'm thankful that we finally get to see it because it's a matchup that will prove who is a top contender in the light heavyweight division. Ovince St. Preux has been on a decent streak over the past year, and Ilir Latifi is coming off of a win over Tyson Pedro, who was a young prospect. In this particular matchup, I think Ilir Latifi has the wrestling advantage. He's extremely strong. He's called the Sledgehammer for a reason. But on the other hand, I think that Ovince St. Preux has the striking advantage, and I think in this matchup, that's going to be more valuable because Ovince has a huge reach and height advantage, and I think he's going to be able to use his reach to stay on the outside and pepper Ilir with shots so that he can't get in for a takedown. And I do see Ovince St. Preux winning by decision. Ilir has been knocked out before, but I think this, since it's a 3-round fight, there's more of a chance that it's going to be a decision. And I think that Ovince is going to land a lot of good strikes and end up taking that decision. For the co-main event, we have Jessica Andrade versus Tecia Torres. This is a contender fight for sure at women's strawweight. I feel whoever wins this will get the next title shot against Joanna because I also think Joanna is going to be the champion soon. Jessica looked absolutely amazing in her last fight. She basically shut out Claudia Gadelha. She destroyed her, had her bloodied, and was beating her in every position. Jessica is extremely strong. She moved down to women's strawweight from women's bantamweight, and she obviously took that strength with her. I mean, you saw she can pick other women up over her head and slam them on the ground. So for Tecia, I think this is an extremely tough fight. Tecia is really, really good. She's definitely top 3 women's strawweight for sure, but this wasn't really a smart fight for her to take because I don't see her winning this. Tecia usually dominates her opponents with really good top control and ground and pound. She dominated Michelle Waterson, and she does have a victory over the current champion Rose Namajunas, but I really, really think that Jessica beats her in every situation. I think that it's a horrible idea for Tecia to try to strike with Jessica, and I think it's a horrible idea for her to try to grapple with her because she's so strong. I will be very surprised if Tecia wins, but the way that I see this fight playing out is Jessica eventually getting top control on the ground and winning by TKO because she has really, really heavy hands, and I don't see Tecia withstanding that. So my prediction is Jessica by probably around 3rd round TKO. And now, finally, for the main event, we have Josh Emmett versus Jeremy Stephens. When this fight got announced, I was super, super excited. I already know this is about to be a war. Both of these guys are extremely heavy hitters. You got Jeremy Stephens, who was the former hardest hitting featherweight, and I say former because Josh Emmett came down from lightweight and showed the world that he had extreme power when he flatlined Ricardo Lamas in like 1 minute. And I'm pretty sure that Josh also has the UFC record for the most knockdowns in a round, which is like 6 or 7. It was crazy. So I think Jeremy Stephens definitely has a really tough fight on his hands here. Jeremy has been on a pretty good streak. He beat Gilbert Melendez and he knocked out Doo-Ho Choi, which I didn't even think he could do. Josh and Jeremy are both heavy-hitting brawlers who aren't afraid to get in there and get hit and land shots. But I do think Josh has a wrestling edge over Jeremy Stephens. Josh does train with Team Alpha Male, and Jeremy Stephens trains with Dominic Cruz, so there could be some bad blood here. A little Alpha Male versus Cruz beef spilling over into this matchup. So I think that if Josh does happen to start losing on the feet to Jeremy Stephens, he will be able to revert back to his wrestling and get some takedowns. He has had dominant wrestling in his past fights. He also beat Scott Holtzman, who is a very dominant wrestler. I just think that Jeremy is a little bit outclassed here. Based on each of these guys' recent performances, Josh has looked like a powerhouse, and Jeremy has as well, but he was getting hit in the Doo-Ho Choi fight, and he couldn't get Gilbert Melendez out of there, even after Gilbert had a horribly mangled leg. So I don't really see Jeremy finishing Josh. One thing that makes this a little bit hard to pinpoint a prediction is the fact that this is a 5-round fight, which I know exponentially increases the likelihood of there being a knockout, but both of these guys have really, really good chins, but they both hit hard as well, so that kind of throws a wrench in the prediction right there. If this was a 3-round fight, I would feel really confident saying Josh Emmett by decision, but since it's a 5-round fight, I kind of want to say Josh Emmett by knockout, but I'm going to stick with my guns here and say Josh Emmett wins a 5-round decision. That's going to be it for these predictions, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to comment about the new intro. Tell me what you think about it. And if you have any opinions about the predictions that differ from mine, feel free to comment those as well. And other than that, I'll see you guys the next time.